If I have a note for the new Stephen Wacker, Brad Winderbaum administration of Marvel, let them cook. That's what I want.
This is a message brought to you by Patrick and Dal from Challengers Comics. It's pretty good.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. Eisner approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. It's hard and it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics in Chicago,
this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
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 Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal.
Dal. Dal.
Dal.
W. Dal Bush.
Here's Patrick and Dal.
Okay, both of our microphones are recording this time.
Yes.
We are good.
Yes.
Last week was just a technological glitch that nobody's fault.
Or two people's fault. Hard to tell.
And most of the people, unless you read the description of the episode, probably never even noticed it because for once, we found some very good use from an AI program we use.
Yes.
For this very podcast.
Yeah.
The Clean Voice app.
I heard about 15 seconds of it, and it sounded like my microphone was working fine.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah. So we're going to quickly start this episode of Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast, with a public service announcement, which is not necessarily comic book related. Since yesterday, I have looked, as Dal described me, as if I just fallen off my bike.
You do, yeah.
There's some...
Patrick fell off of his stationary bike at home.
There's some noticeable wounds on my face. Skin cancer is prevalent in my family. We've lost members of my grandfather, died from it. My dad had it. My brother has it.
Mm-hmm.
I get checked every year.
Mm-hmm.
When they find something that they don't like, they freeze it off.
Mm-hmm.
In an attempt to make it stop, to not spread, to not grow, to whatever.
Smart.
And look, we're all getting older. We've been doing this podcast since 2009.
That can't be right.
We've been running Challenger since 2008.
That sounds like a lie.
And while the store is getting bigger and better, we're getting older.
We're both getting bigger, if not better.
Things are breaking down. So you owe it to yourself, whoever you are listening, to always get yourself checked for everything. Go to the doctor regularly. Go to the dentist regularly. If you're...
Assuming you can afford to. I mean, it's American healthcare.
I know.
I don't want to tell anybody to do anything. I understand.
Right.
People have to make certain sacrifices.
Right, but don't sacrifice your life for it.
If you can afford to. Like, if you have the ability to do so financially, it's worth it for you to do that for yourself and for the people in your life, I think.
If you're over 40, get a colonoscopy.
Mm-hmm.
If you always check for breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Always go, check your PSA levels. Just check yourself. So if anything is going south, they can catch it early and hopefully take care of it.
Sure.
So yeah, I look a little rough. I sound a little rough, but that's unrelated. But it's all good reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know how long we're doing this for, but we want you here the whole time.
Jesus.
No, I mean the podcast.
I get it. Okay.
All right.
Weirdly dire.
You're pretty bleak today, man. You're always going in the wrong direction.
I'm just hearing what you're putting down.
Well, as far as putting down, apparently Dal has incredibly late-breaking news, and as far as I can tell,
this just in.
It has nothing to do with BBC Radio 1 parting ways with six of their DJs.
Well, I haven't got
of their presenters.
I haven't gotten that far in the Beat article, so I don't know if that's going to be part of it.
Well, I already knew about that, so it's okay.
This is a two-part story. Part one, Patrick, you'd already mentioned to me because you'd heard Marvel Publishing, Publishing is leaving New York for Burbank.
Okay.
Similar to how DC some years ago left New York to go be part of the Warner Brothers, at the time AT&T and Warner Brothers. in Burbank, studios part of things in Burbank. So Marvel is going to be moving to Burbank too, which is where Disney and Marvel Studios and all that stuff is. The other big news that dropped alongside this, as reported in what looks like the Hollywood Reporter. Yeah, okay, well, that's part of it. Is this making sure that this is not... Okay, yeah. So this is official. C.B. Cebulski out as editor-in-chief.
Whoa.
Cebulski will continue the company's editor, Asia Originals, overseeing manga and other Asian titles featuring their characters. I hear he's going to be working closely with Akira Yoshida.
Oh, it's important that they have authentic voices.
But Marvel announced the replacement for editor-in-chief, and this is a guy that I'm like, oh, I guess he is still with the company, just hasn't done comics in forever. Steve Wacker.
Whoa!
Is the new editor-in-chief of Marvel. They already had a all-hands town hall meeting at Marvel this morning.
That's, like, I thought the last I heard of Steve Wacker was when he was editing Spider-Man, but then I thought he moved over to Marvel Animation.
Well, so this is the thing. Marvel Publishing recently moved under the umbrella of Brad Winderbaum, the head of Marvel Television Animation Comics franchise.
Yeah.
So Brad Winderbaum, probably a guy that knows Steve Wacker pretty well within the larger Marvel Studios empire. And when looking at publishing, it was like, what do we do? Potentially look to his left and went, oh, this guy could just do it. David Abdo, the general manager of comics and franchise, said in the letter, this move will position the team beside our broader creative organization and create opportunities for collaboration across both Marvel and Disney. Bringing our comics, film, television, and other creative teams together will help us learn from one another, collaborate, and build on the strengths that make Marvel the true house of ideas. Blah, 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 talking about moving from New York to California, blah, blah, blah. As for Wacker and Cebulski, Winderbaum states, few editors have had as long and accomplished a career as CB. I'm grateful for his partnership over the past decade and thrilled that he'll be on the ground in Japan, connecting with local artists and overseeing Marvel's original graphic fiction and manga in the region. As a quick side note, Marvel also just ended their partnership with like a major Japanese manga publisher, the same one they were doing stuff like the Spider-Man Ultraman novel, the Spider-Man Doc Ock thing, the Deadpool Samurai stuff, like whatever publisher that was through.
Is that the one where the manga where Spider-Man gets turned into a baby and Doc Ock has to raise him?
You're thinking of something else. But that all got done. And so that is basically being memory hold by the end of this year. So if you haven't bought those graphic novels yet, I would do it soon because no one will be able to get them.
Can you explain that term for me?
Memory hold?
Yeah.
It's from the book 1984, George Orwell. So the memory hole is basically what they would call like when they were, it was a euphemism for like vanishing information.
Okay.
But because everything in the novel was
I thought
the reverse of something,
I thought
like
it had
the Department of, like the Ministry of Truth was all lying about stuff. The Ministry of Peace was all waging war. So the memory hole makes it sound like, oh, we're saving this. It is a furnace. The memory hole is literally like a furnace that they would take information that was unkind to the state, facts, truth, and they would destroy it. So now no one would ever know about it. No one could ever prove it happened.
Gotcha. I thought this was a legitimate publishing term.
No, it's just me making light of the fact of, once again, there's art out there that a company is like, no, we don't have the license for this anymore. So now it never exists.
It goes away. Yep. We were asked, quick side note, like somebody had expressed how excited they are for the upcoming Firefly comic. And I had to say, I don't think we're carrying that for the shelf. Firefly has done very poorly for us over the years. And as much as we love the original property, it's nothing that has seemed to survive. And, you know, it's constantly jumping publishers. So all of the continuity goes away every time.
Yeah. It's hard to remember sometimes where each thing is happening in the context of the different stories they've done. Cause they've done things that are like, oh, here's stuff post the movie.
Yeah. Here's
stuff between the show and the movie. Here's stuff in the middle of the show or prequel to the show. And
here's how they all met.
Yeah. So I don't know what the new one is supposed to be or where it's supposed to be or what it's doing. So pros and cons of Steve Wacker as editor-in-chief of Marvel.
Well, let's go backwards for a second. If we
Okay, sure.
Let's start with their move from New York.
Okay. I was skipping that because I don't really care, but anyway.
Right. But I have a small take on it.
Okay.
As a young Marvel fan growing up, their Marvel offices were iconic.
Sure.
the way Stan Lee always described the bullpen, when you find out in real life that it was like a cramped room where everybody's elbow to elbow, it takes a little mystique off of it, but still.
And certainly the idea of Marvel Comics is New York, right?
Yeah. 75 Madison Avenue.
Yeah. Like it was New York because they were publishing from New York and they look out their window and all the things they were drawing were the things that they were interacting with daily.
Yeah.
And, back before, digital transmission meant you could send pages into Marvel for the production offices anywhere in the world, you would have to get them to Marvel. And a lot of artists didn't want to ship stuff through the mail, which was unreliable. Whole pages could get lost. Sure. You didn't have backups of anything. So most artists kind of lived in and around.
So they could go drop off art. They could go pick up art.
They could just go into the offices. A lot of them work there. Writers and editors, of which for a long time you were both, all worked in the bullpen. They were all there.
John Romita was always drawing in the bullpen.
Yeah, Romita's Raiders were the bullpen. They would just do fixes and corrections and the things they started to do to get stuff ready to go. So, that was the DNA of New York infused Marvel. Like,
sure, but even as a fan, you were in awe of that building. Like
it's pretty
later when they moved to, was it 323 Avenue of the Americas? This is all coming off the top of my head, so I don't remember address exactly. That felt like, no, you can't move off of Madison Avenue. You're Marvel Comics. But when I was younger, when I was in high school, my brother and I were on a solo trip to New York. We went to Marvel Comics.
Sure.
And we decided to walk up the stairs onto their offices, and the stairwell door was open. So we walked in and walked around.
Did they ask you
while it was happening? And there was a point where, like, people are heads down working, and somebody said out loud, "Hey, how do you spell?" I can't remember the word. George answered him.
Wow.
And we bumped into Jim Shooter.
Wow. Did he ask you what you're doing there?
He did indeed.
And what did you tell him?
Oh, we just said, like, oh, we're super big fans. We had to come visit. We had to pay our respects. He's like, hey, that's all great. How did you get in?
Yeah, we got to lock that door now.
he literally said, somebody go lock that door.
Yeah. Fans can't just wander up into the bullpen.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, they can. We did.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you could have just taken a bunch of stuff and walked down those stairs.
No,
them like, where did all the pages from this issue of Power Man and Iron Fist go?
Obviously, that never even occurred to us because we wanted to be there.
Yeah, to you at that age, it was just like, what would be weird about this? We're just fans. We want to come say hi.
Yeah.
We're Marvel's tone passed down from Stan Lee was parasocial. Stan's soapbox was, oh yeah, Stan's your friend. You're all, you being a fan and Stan and Jack being the guys making these comics, you're all on the same level. We're all just having fun together. So yeah, when you go to New York and in that year, you're like, oh, we're just meeting our friends. We're just saying hi. We're paying our respects. And it's like, no, this is a workplace. You can't just wander in here. You definitely can't do that now, by the way. They got security.
Well, it's also not even that place anymore. Right. But when I was even younger, my dad took me to DC's offices.
I remember.
And I had a sit-down meeting with then art director or talent manager Sal Amendola.
Mm-hmm.
And I had brought, I didn't plan on this, but I had a bunch of art with me, and I did a bunch of art while I was on vacation. So my dad's like, show it to him.
Sure.
So I had a sit-down meeting with Sal Amendola from DC Comics, which is amazing. Like, over the years, I've had Neil Ponzer. I had a critique with him.
Nice.
And he was harsh.
Sure.
And
they're not trying to spare your feelings when they do that.
Yeah, no, I get it. But these are major figures. Most of them have gone now.
Yeah.
That had an important role in shaping the creative vision or the look of those companies. And, I had meetings with them. It was kind of neat.
That's great.
And the idea of going to these offices still is a big deal in a treasured memories for me. But those offices haven't been that in decades.
Right.
And honestly, they don't need to be. The world has changed.
Yeah. I mean, one of the major things is that, again, like what Marvel Publishing is, who works there, is very different now than it was in like the 1980s or the 1970s.
Yeah.
Where, again, a lot of people, creative people from the company worked in the offices because it just made sense. And
It's just that's just you did. There wasn't an option. There wasn't there was no.
Sure, but also like the amount of overlap they had between editorial and creative, they've largely gotten rid of. Like that's the thing that Peter David had talked about over the years, where people were kind of like there was too much in editorial where one editor would hire another editor to write one of their books, and then that editor would hire the other editor to write one of their books.
Quid pro quo.
Quid pro bro was, I think, mostly how it ended up working out.
Quid pro bros before other freelancers.
So because of that, you would have a lot of the people who were in the offices being the ones writing the books, or again, like drawing the books even sometimes. Now when you would go to the Marvel offices, no one creatively, like none of the people writing and drawing the books works in the offices anymore. That was actually like in the early 2000s, that was what CrossGen was trying to bring back in, was the idea of you get a lot of like creativity that bubbles up when you have everyone working together.
Sure. That's why so many artists have collectives and studios and they have creative people around them.
Yeah, because it's fun to just walk by someone else drawing something and help each other out and give each other support and motivation. And that's the thing that you can get in the offices. But yeah,
just like us at work, buddy.
Exactly. I told you yesterday, I thought you did a good job. But Marvel and DC, their publishing offices
was doing a good job.
Aren't like that anymore. It's just, editorial and marketing and those sort of employees. It's staff. It's not necessarily where the creation of things happens. So visiting offices like that, it's cool if you wanted to, talk to an editor or maybe something. I think I was saying the other day that I think editorial oversight on a book is maybe something that people
need more of.
Some certain companies could do a better job editing the books. But that's not the same thing as walking in there and seeing like, somebody penciling a page for that month's issue of X-Men or whatever, It's not seeing the magic happen. It's just like, oh, this is how the machine works.
And the pandemic also taught everybody that you can do your job remotely.
Sure.
My big question from all this is, what about Tom Brevoort? A guy who would travel 2 hours one way every day to get from his home to the Marvel offices in New York.
That was what happened when DC left, was essentially like, some people will relocate, some people will retire, some people will quit. Some people don't or can't move across country.
Yeah.
My assumption, not knowing anything, I think Brevoort probably retires unless they let him work remotely. Like maybe some people they do. They're just like, if you want to do it through Zoom. But again, the point of this is to have everyone where Marvel Studios is.
Right.
This is similar to when DC did their move, which was we want you in-house, not only to be able to better collaborate with other branches of this company, whether that's TV or movies or video games or whatever we're doing inside, but also to have a little bit more direct control over what's going on in the publishing side of things. And part of the knee-jerk part of me is this is probably not great for Marvel's creative output, because one of the things that's been the hallmark of Marvel's creative output over the last couple of years has been a strict adherence to what the MCU is doing, both in a roadmap of characters and plot lines, and also just kind of a similarity in tone for the characters, for the costumes, for everything else. And that sucks. I think it's made the books real like bland and boring.
But look, Dal, this week we got Punisher and Spider-Man.
Right.
And then we already have a Spider-Man, Punisher, and Hulk book. And now we're getting a Hulk and Spider-Man book. Those are all completely organic and original stories, and don't at all feel like they're just thrown together.
Yeah. But the other side of the coin is, look at how good DC's doing now.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that they got ahead of that. They were brought out to Burbank. They were under the direct control of Warner Brothers. They certainly had a bad few years. They had layoffs. They had different ownership. They had a whole bunch of different mandates pushing them in different directions.
I honestly don't think those bad years were a result of the move.
No,
but
like that was
still were bad years.
That was a consequence of being closer to the corporate end of things. You have a little bit of autonomy when you're on a different coast in a different building with different leadership. There's an interface between, Paul Levitz and Jeanette Kahn versus, Warner Brothers as a company. But then when you're in the same city, in the same building, you are meeting with people probably on a more regular basis. They're more aware of your headcount. They're more aware of what people are doing. They're more aware of how you're doing.
That's the one thing I found that
finances of the company.
Every business needs, whether it be creative or financial or entrepreneurial, more meetings.
Right. So there's two ways it could go. There's definitely like the version of this where it becomes more like the MCU and Marvel Publishing becomes more just like a licensing arm.
Marvel Comics, the world outside your window. If your window is in Burbank.
Mm-hmm. If your window is inside a movie.
Hollywood Boulevard.
If your window is inside an AMC. Or this is the sort of thing where they're kind of empowered to do more different material to try and create new ideas that can become movies, cartoons, TV shows.
Whoa. Lines. You lost me at new ideas.
Or if not new ideas, then, absolute ideas. That kind of thing. Like, even if it's not brand new.
I have one. This week we saw, what was it? Punisher Spider-Man?
Yes.
How about a team-up book, Spider-Man Punisher?
Can they even do that?
I don't even know. Like, that may be...
How would you even tell that story?
Yeah, that's... I'm sorry, I'm shooting too high. I'm sorry, I'm reaching too far.
So, yeah, that's the move. I certainly feel bad for anybody in New York who, doesn't want to move to California. Again, some people will just take this opportunity to retire, leave the industry. It used to be like you could go to another company. Who else is in New York that you could go to? I don't think there's anything in comics publishing that's in New York.
No, end of an era.
Yeah, I mean, if is there even a small publisher that's based in New York? I don't think so.
Remember when Chicago had a handful of publishers? We had Comico or Comico. We had First.
They're all on the West Coast.
We later had, and I guess still do have, Devil's Due.
West Coast is, so you got Marvel and DC, you got Dark Horse, you got Image, you've got Dark Horse. Did I say Dark Horse already?
Yeah, you did.
You've got Fantagraphics. You've got Ignition, I guess is that?
Yeah, that counts.
That's West Coast.
Sure.
I don't know where Distillery is. They need
partially Canada.
They need an editor. It's hard to think of anybody who would be a prominent East Coast publisher. They don't. Yeah, not really. So yeah, you're
thinking what I'm thinking.
No.
Challengers East Coast.
No. Get into publishing. No. Oni also West Coast.
Yeah.
How about them?
But Oni is remote, and that's cool.
Is that? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they didn't have office.
Dark
Horse, I don't think is going to have offices soon. I think Mike Richardson owns their offices. He's going to work there anymore. First, second, there's New York publishers.
Okay.
That have arms. I think
Macmillan,
PRH, Macmillan. Well, first, second, Macmillan. But yeah, companies like that, Simon & Schuster, I think they're in New York. So maybe Brevoort ends up at Abrams Comic Arts.
Wow.
I don't know, man. I don't know if they're New York. They might be.
I mean, I think Special Projects is a good fit for him.
He's already been interfacing with that company
to
get stuff like the Alex Ross stuff off the ground. Maybe. Maybe we just figured out what Tom Brevoort does.
Well, Tom, if you're listening, good luck and you're welcome.
I hope he's doing good. I certainly I haven't enjoyed the X-Men comics that have been coming out over the last couple of years, but I think that's a guy that's done everything Marvel's asked of him.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know that. I hope they have a plan in place for employees like that who have given a lot to the company over several decades.
Does that mean his swan song is the cover to this week's Fantastic Four?
Maybe. No, they'll put him on a cover of something else. He'll be on some X-Men covers. He didn't get fired. And I don't know if I saw in that article when the move is happening. If they specified a date. If we're going to get a month-long Convergence Marvel event to cover for the fact that their entire editorial offices are packed up and moving across country. I'm going to scroll real quick. Relocate to California by July 2027.
Oh, so they got a year.
It will begin holding orientation sessions for those employees and their families next week.
Huh.
It's interesting to me before we start talking about the Stephen Wacker of it all, which is a much bigger topic, that they're doing this in advance of San Diego. I wonder if they felt like why would they release it in this way? Because it's kind of all anyone's going to be talking about in the publishing side of things. Like that's going to be the BarCon topic at San Diego.
Maybe that's why.
Well, so that's the thing. Like, I would think it's maybe something you get out because if you're already telling employees, everyone's going to be talking about it at BarCon, and then it's going to leak, and then you don't control the narrative. But I don't know why you would need to do it at all San Diego week. Like, you're not moving everyone for like it's a year before people are relocating.
Because you don't want you want those people who are going to San Diego on your behalf who knows they're gonna either have to move or quit to have as terrible time as possible and to put in as little work for the company as conceivable and to ruin them having a good time.
It just really feels like a weird. Typically Marvel, like, I don't know why you would. This seems weird to do it this way. Like, it just. I don't see the upshot of doing it this way because it's not the sort of thing that you would release newswise before. I mean, there is a part of it, and it's the Stephen Wacker part. That's the one thing that you can point to and be like, oh, this is good news. This is the sort of thing that, and I guess now we'll segue into that.
Let me just punctuate the move with, so Ryan Voss, it turns out I actually did have more about the moving to say than I thought I did when you asked.
Yeah, whoops. I wonder if this makes it more likely that Comics Pro is going to go back to Yeah.
No, definitely not.
I mean, not like next year, but
eventually. Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Remember, it's 2-year cycles.
Yeah, but like now that every publisher seemingly is in California.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mad Cave sponsors Comics Pro 2028.
So Stephen Wacker, CB Cebulski, it's no secret that Marvel is not doing well in the direct market. I don't know how they're doing in the book market, but my assumption has been not good. A lot of the anecdotal data that I've heard over the years about Marvel in the book market is that it is mystifying that they are not doing as well as they were, even when the MCU was like essentially like a money printing machine. That they still couldn't seem to move graphic novels, and that hasn't drastically changed. Like, we're doing well with the Spider-Man Brand New Day digesty edition thing
because it's $10.
Because it's $10, and all of those digesty things are doing great. We're not moving anything else.
It looks so out of place on our compact display.
I know. But people aren't picking up like Spider-Man the Other or anything else. Like, Spider-Man stuff does okay, but it's not doing as good as you think it would be doing in the month of the release of a major motion picture that's expected to do hundreds of millions of dollars, if not, portions of $1 billion. Supergirl, those graphic novels did great for like 6 months heading up to the release of the Supergirl movie. Like, there was a clear idea of Patrick is shaking his head at a number of UPS notifications that are coming in.
It's 5 so far.
Yeah, it's going to keep going.
I know. I was sitting here counting.
Yes, I could tell. So yeah,
what do we get deliveries? How many did you have yesterday?
There was like 5, but they were each one thing.
They were more than 5. They had 8 boxes today.
Yeah. And again, I think a lot of that is just one box thing. So instead of like 5 boxes from a company.
Yeah, but it's still a box you have to be opened.
Some of them are very small. Some of them are envelopes.
There's already Lunar for tomorrow. But anyway, go on.
I have to double check to figure out where I was at. Basically, that Marvel isn't doing well. Marvel Publishing hasn't been doing well. So a change was needed at multiple levels of that company. And again, they're under a new part of the Marvel Studios umbrella. There are different people in charge of that. And
Marvel Music.
You can see that they are looking at the portfolio of departments that they have and seeing what's working and what's not working and making changes. Like, you get handed something corporately and hopefully you take a little while to figure it out. It's one thing to be told, like, this is underperforming, do something about it. Like, okay, but if you don't understand it, you don't know who to fire, who to promote, what changes to make. So now we're getting to the point where changes can be made. And, major ones are moving the entire publishing branch over to where the studios are. But then also, Marvel Publishing is not putting together books. Like, Patrick was just on a sketched article for David Harper Sketched about the health of the direct market in 2026. And, it's doing great. Stores are doing great. But one of the common negatives is that Marvel is either not doing well or not doing as well as it should be doing with the health of the market. If, everyone's up a certain percentage and Marvel's down, they are clearly not doing something right. And, your mileage may vary as to what that is. It's going to be hyper subjective. Fans are going to bring different, ideas to the table and different hopes and dreams. But it's clear that Marvel Publishing is not doing well. And hasn't been doing well for a while. And certainly a lot of the things that they were doing under David Gabriel were maybe disguising some of the weakness in their overall publishing line. If you're selling a lot of variant covers and the variant covers are clicking with people, you don't realize that the core product is not connecting with people. And eventually, the lack of the core product connecting with people is going to dampen how many variant covers you can sell. People are less likely to buy the variant covers for books that they aren't actually reading. They might do it if they're a big enough David Nakayama fan, but that's a hard thing to pin your entire publishing strategy on, is hoping that you get the right cover artist for your books. You need more than that. Again, you can look at how DC's doing. They have a bunch of cool variant covers. That's great. But the A cover of Absolute Batman still outsells any 3 comics that Marvel publishes across all their covers. Like, that's just the truth of it. So, Stephen Wacker.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy who's, I don't know, decade-long run on Amazing Spider-Man saw when they went from Dan Slott writing it for 9 years to the triple writers of Kelly Thompson and Seb Wells and can't remember the third one. Was it Joe Kelly?
No, not on Beyond. I don't remember.
Yeah. But I mean, he's somebody who's used to, just with that one title, managing a very high output,
Sure.
a high number of revolving creators.
When he was at DC, he was the guy that edited 52.
Yeah. And I was going to say events.
Yeah. It's not 100% clear what his take on
What an editor-in-chief does anymore.
Well, so that's the thing. Like, we had talked about this a few weeks ago or months ago when we were talking about David Gabriel leaving, and I had said that editor-in-chief is a prominent role at the company because, you know, even if you're not in the trenches putting creative teams on books, you are the one saying yes and no to different projects, yes and no to different creative teams, yes and no to different ideas for what the company should look like. So you are shaping it at a very high level, even if you're not coming in with your own specific tastes and edicts. If you're not saying, this is what the X-Men is, your editors are going to come to you and say, with multiple ideas, this is what we think the X-Men is, and you're going to be the one to go, yes, this is the one. So it's hard to say what his take on it is, but when you look at the things he's edited over the years, I think what he did was successful.
It was their, I want to say, strongest book at the time.
Yeah, so he's a guy that, you know, I think he has kind of the Brevoort thing where he has kind of an idea of like, what is the core concept of this character and how do we execute that at a very high degree. But, you know, we'll see what that looks like. And having to shape the entire line is a very different thing. Like, you can do it in stages. DC kind of did theirs. They would kind of pick different parts of their line over a series of quarters. And you would see it start of, you know, one clicks, and then you build another one onto it, another one onto that. And suddenly you have a whole line that feels like, even though it's not doing the same thing, it's all working together. It's all executing its ideas. Yeah, unfortunately, this is the thing where, you know, you're not going to hear anything about what that's going to look like until probably New York.
Yeah.
Ironic, considering they're leaving there. But yeah, I don't think Stephen Wacker is going to be coming into San Diego going like, all right, well, here's the new creative teams for X-Men. Like, no, that's not what's going to happen next weekend at San Diego. It's going to be a while.
I'll tell you one of the things that I always want from Marvel, and I was just thinking about it again.
A Power Pack
last week.
Patrick, that's a good idea.
Unified trade dress.
They had unified trade dress for a long time, and it was ugly and boring.
Well, better.
Yeah, I mean, certainly something dynamic. Like the one that we still have a ton of is like white spine, like black bold title, black non-bold, like subtitle or creators, red Marvel logo at the top, black bold digit at the bottom of the spine. And it's like, it tells you what you need to know, but Jesus Christ, does it just look like a nothing? There's nothing to get excited about.
But you look at like certain books like Iron Man and Daredevil have corner boxes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the X-Men has the unified trade dress for their, are we talking about trades or are we talking about comic books? Right?
Comic books.
Oh, I see. Okay. I was thinking about trades. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, for comic books, you're right. Yeah. Fabulski, when he came on, was doing corner boxes. Remember that?
Yeah.
How long did that last?
I don't know. Just something where the UPC is going to always be in the same spot. The
DC figured it out.
Issue, yeah.
DC Bullet corner box.
Yeah. I like the corner boxes.
How hard is that? They should get Dan Moore and Jorge Jimenez to draw theirs too.
Yeah, but also like they've got a tight rectangle behind it. Marvel's big white boxes.
Yep.
I don't think work anymore.
Nope.
Like I do like corner boxes, but I don't think that it works the way I want it to on Daredevil and Iron Man. You can do that. Remember in the early 2000s, Marvel's doing them in circles. They had a circle with the character popping out of it. Just something that gives us an indication like, hey, this is new, this is dynamic, but it's the characters you know.
Yeah, I certainly think Marvel is in need of less of a, tweak and more of a creative reset. So I think anything they do probably next year needs to be something that is telling people it's time to come back. You can't just do it with creative teams. You have to do more of a push on your whole publishing scheme, your trade dress, your everything. I mean, you really have to start from square one. And I know that's weird to say considering they're still the number 2 publisher in the company, and depending on what stores you're at, maybe even the number 1 publisher still.
Yeah.
But they are weak right now. They have been for a while, and they need something that energizes people. And I think some of it is just, a kind of holistic view of their line, which is you look at stuff that you're publishing, and it's like, how does this fit together? Is kind of the main question. And the sub question of that is like, who is this for? Like, you're publishing stuff like X-Men Outback, and it's like, I don't know that you need that cluttering up your line. I don't understand why you would do that. X-Men 97 makes sense to me. It ties into the cartoon series. X-Men Outback is like
Gambit Wanted.
I grew up, Gambit Wanted. I grew up on a lot of this stuff, and this is just, it's stories from all over Marvel's history. What if that is needlessly confusing? And it's not like it's making people, confused in the way of like, I'm not hearing people pick up X-Men Outback and then come in and go, oh, I thought this was going to tie into X-Men United, but it doesn't. Like, they don't think that. But I mean it more in the sense of like, these things need to support each other. And I don't know that something like X-Men Outback or Gambit Wanted or Spectacular Spider-Man Brand New Day or any of the 1,000 like nostalgia baiting titles they do helps their line at all. Like, it's just an additional comic to sell.
I have a big problem with it being called Spectacular Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Right.
If you're going to do that, use the Spectacular Spider-Man logo,
For instance.
But why don't they just have a publishing arm called Marvel Retro, and all those things can be under that umbrella, and they all have like a little bit of branding, so you know that it's a throwback.
Just like, you never want to bring up Bill Jemas as like how you should do things, because Jesus Christ, you absolutely should not. But when he came on, it was like books. It was very like, why are we doing Spider-Man Chapter 1? Why are we doing stories set in the past? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, it should always be about pushing the characters forward and doing new things. And I say that as someone who legitimately loves Batman and Superman World's Finest every single month, which is literally set in the past.
Yeah.
But even that book crossed over at Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, it's not impossible. So I want Marvel publishing to feel less like throwing things against the wall and more like there is an idea at the core of this company charting a course to the future. Like, there is a roadmap. There is something like, and maybe it's hard to do that when nothing's working, because if you make a roadmap and nothing's working, you keep following the nothing works roadmap. That feels like a huge mistake. That's not going to get you where you want to go, unless where you want to go is out of work. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. And while I think it's weird they announced the changes they did in the run up to San Diego, I'm not surprised that CB Cebulski was shown the door. It didn't seem like that was a guy that was maybe ever in the job that he was supposed to be in.
Yeah, people may remember that when he was announced as editor-in-chief, we were both taken by surprise because he had always been a talent scout.
Yeah, it was a talent relation.
He didn't have the editorial pedigree that the editor-in-chief usually has. Everybody before him had been somebody who'd been a dedicated creator/editor for a while before they got the call up.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you and I had said we were hoping for a co-editor-in-chiefship between Will Moss and Sana Amanat.
Oh, okay.
Remember that?
I don't, but that's a good idea.
But then Sana had moved out of publishing into Burbank.
Yeah.
And I think that in the hierarchical structure of Marvel editorial, you'll now have Stephen Wacker, theoretically Tom Brevoort, but I think Will Moss is their dedicated, like, top editor.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the management structure looks like. I like Stephen Wacker, while he hasn't been in publishing, I think for a minute, he certainly was a guy who was able to be very multitask oriented. He definitely was a guy that understood the nuts and bolts of comic publishing as well as, how to work with creators, and he worked with some really great ones.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing about C.B. Cebulski is you could see him as a guy that, understood comic as an art form, but he didn't understand publishing as a process. And publishing as a process isn't just, packaging the books and getting them out the door on time. It's understanding how does this all synergistically work as a publishing line. And so I feel like, and this is all pure speculation, I feel like from the outside, he was a guy that was probably fine letting people run a lot of little different fiefdoms. And the result of that is you get a really disjointed publishing line where nothing feels like it's all, there's different things on the calendar, but there's no sense of this is all one company where things matter. You just have we're doing Avengers Armageddon and Queen in Black and Hellfire Murder and whatever, and, a Spider-Man storyline. And it's these all feel like they could be coming out from 5 different companies.
Yeah. They don't feel like they're cohesive, that they are happening in the same world.
Right.
And that was always the difference of Marvel over DC, is that Marvel was one community, and what happened over here affects what's over there.
Yeah. It was the classic, you can just have Thor fly by in a Spider-Man comic.
Yeah.
Because they're in the same city and they all that makes fans feel like it all matters. And, on a financial level, it makes fans more invested in your line and your brand, less in your individual comics. So you get Spider-Man fans to then go buy a Thor comic. And you can't do that if it all just feels like it's the process of 6 different little groups of creators.
If you look at, but even within each fiefdom, if you buy Amazing Spider-Man and you buy Punisher Spider-Man and you buy Spider-Man, the Hickman one,
Long Way Home.
I was going to say No Way Home, but I keep doing that. Or you buy the Hulk, Fire and Brimstone. None of them feel connected.
No. Yeah, I mean, Long Way Home, I don't know that that's set in early Spider-Man days.
Yeah.
So that's, and okay, sure. Yeah, it's
so hard to have it's Frank Castle before he's a Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
But that character was so completely different from what he is now that you can't have the now version of him back then and make it make sense.
Nope. It's just them working backwards from, we need a comic book where Spider-Man, Punisher, and the Hulk are in it. Yeah. And how you do that is up to you. And Hickman chose a way of doing it. It's just a really weird way of doing it. Yeah, I certainly hope that that's a thing that is being discussed internally at Marvel at very high levels, which is how much do we want this publishing company to be following the lead of studios? Again, you look at and this is a snake eating its own tail problem of Marvel Studios.
Rob or Ross.
Thank you. Marvel Studios was able to do about 10 years of really good movies because they had, 50 years of Marvel comics to really pull from, to make that into, to get the bits and pieces they needed. But the problem was during those 10 years that Marvel Studios was doing their stuff, Marvel Publishing started to just adapt and respond to the Marvel Studios things. So now Marvel Studios is looking to the recent past of things they haven't adapted, and all they're finding in publishing is their own movies regurgitated back at them. So what do you do with that? The value of Marvel Publishing to a movie studio like Marvel Studios is in creating the content that they're then going to adapt and turn into billion-dollar franchises. So if you're not letting the publishing arm do their job, if you're making them into a licensing arm, you have nothing to adapt. Again, you look at DC Publishing and it seems like they figured that out because you only get a Batman Nightfall animated R-rated movie that people are excited about that is in turn selling a bunch of Batman graphic novels because you let that publishing arm do that story back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You get Absolute Batman as a new animated series because you let the publishing arm do Absolute Batman.
You then don't look at the success of the Batman Nightfall animated feature and say, okay, we need to make more comics like this. Let's do another Nightfall.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that won't work.
The Batman Nightfall movie did not then make DC Publishing say, okay, well, we got to break Batman's back again. We got to get Azrael back on the stage. We got to do a whole bunch of Bane tie-ins across the entire publishing line. You don't, because you already have those and people can buy those in collections. You create the next thing that becomes the next movie that's going to be a hit in 2035. You do that now. Like, that's how this is supposed to work. Arguably, like, it, you don't need the media side of it for me as a comics fan, but if you want the symbiosis of the publishing and the media, that's how it should work. It should move in that direction. If it's moving in the other direction, you're just selling Star Trek comics at IDW. And it's like, do you want to know how those sell? Not as good as Absolute Batman.
You know what this is? This is a much more detailed explanation of the 2-sentence answer you gave to David Harper a few months ago about how to fix Marvel Comics.
He can quote this in his next article.
I was going to say that going back to David's sketch article about the state of the union right now and comic shop sales and comic publishing, when I answered his questions, it was like June 11th.
Mm-hmm.
That week was the one random week in the last several months where Marvel actually beat DC for us sales-wise.
Wow.
And I noted that. I'm like, this is an anomaly week, but this happened. And then since it's been a month since that happened and it never happened again, I was talking to him right before he publishes this piece. And I'm like, oh, hey, by the way, that was an anomaly. It hasn't happened since. He's like, all right, I'm pulling that from your section. And that makes sense to like not mention it when it hasn't happened again.
Exactly. When it's just an aberrant data point.
Just a blip.
Yeah.
So I think what we're getting down to is that when I sat down in this very chair, I didn't know the Stephen Wacker news.
Nope.
But I am, I was going to say infinitely, but that's making it too excited. I'm much more excited for that announcement than I was years ago when it was CB Cebulski.
Yeah, I mean, certainly one of the issues at the time for the CB Cebulski thing was DC was not, to my knowledge, doing well. I remember it being an announcement at a time where DC was not clicking. So Marvel was doing fine, and it was really just like, please don't screw this up. And this is different.
I just got the Challengers email right now. It's scheduled for 1:00.
Oh, I don't know. Huh. At least it went out.
Yeah.
So this is a situation that needed to change. I didn't have, on a bingo card who I thought it was going to be or who I thought it might be. They picked somebody that I think is really good and honestly pretty surprising because, again, he was not currently working in editorial at Marvel. He had moved on to other things in the company.
Yeah,
I think, and that's the thing that I kind of keep focusing on, both for good and ill, is like, on the one hand, this is kind of bringing somebody out of retirement who was really good, who arguably could, help right the ship, who has worked with a lot of great creators, who is capable, I think, of dealing with a lot of different elements of the company. But the thing that the warning sign in my brain is that this is also a guy that has been working on the studio side for like 5 years or more. And if you're looking for a sign that publishing is going to be less adherent to how studios is framing things, this is not the thing you want to see.
Yeah.
This makes it seem like you're only going to get more of it, and it's only going to be more concentrated. So if I have a note for the new Stephen Wacker, Brad Winderbaum administration of Marvel, let them cook. That's what I want. You look at the successes that superhero publishing has had over the last few years, and you can pin it to just a few things. It's the Ultimate Universe. It's the Absolute Universe. People are excited about the Midnight Comics. I'm not saying everything needs to be its own separate universe, but you have to be creating something that people cannot get in any other form. Like, that's what makes fans excited. That's what makes average readers excited. That makes people outside the industry excited. And it then gives you something you can adapt into something that people also haven't seen before. Like, it's only smart to let your publishing arm do their jobs.
Yeah. And
their jobs is not adapting what you've done in movies. Your job in movies is adapting what they've done in comics. If you're turning it around the other way, the whole machine breaks down. None of this works.
I know Hollywood always knows better. I know they're smarter. I know they're more well-informed, and that no matter the source material, they will 100% make it better by factors of 1,000.
Yeah. Like, look,
But don't, that's you putting your thumb on the scale.
Right.
That you still need somebody to have the meat that you're weighing, going with the scale analogy.
Yeah. So, I mean, to put it, in literal terms, when you make Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, there's a chance it turns into a shitty movie. But if you're doing a comic adaptation based off of the Supergirl movie, it can only be a shitty comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't understand why you would force it the other way. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So hopefully that is a lesson learned for Marvel Publishing and Marvel Studios more specifically over the last couple years, that their system, however they're doing it, whether that's explicitly telling them what to do or implicitly having Marvel Publishing think they're making their corporate bosses happy by doing it that way, that shit don't work. You got to do it the way you used to do it when things were actually working, when you were taking chances creatively, when you were creating new things, when you were pushing the characters into new directions that, again, become something that, like, oh, this would be a great movie.
Or, God forbid, the way you did it before there was a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Just tell good stories.
Yeah, I mean, let the publishing, let the creators do what they do best. Let them create new ideas, new characters, new stories, new everything.
You want the reader to feel a part of something. You want them to have an experience that resonates with them, that makes them feel something, but more than that, makes them feel a part of something bigger. You want them to be involved, and you want them to take ownership of it, even if it's just perceived ownership. And that only works when things are good and when things connect and when things are true to each other. And you're not going to get this with just most of the stuff they're putting out today.
Yeah, and also, I mean, just for what we've seen at the store, the new readers that are coming in are not coming in because of the movies and TV shows. They're coming in spite of them.
Yeah.
So the more the comics look like those things that they're essentially trying to escape from, the IP that's being turned out into movies and TV shows that are just boring people, the worse the comics are going to do. So even just on a basic publishing level, like, the things that you think you're attaching yourself to are not rockets, they're anchors. So don't attach yourself to anything. Just make your comics.
You're doing great today.
Thanks, Patrick.
You got a lot of really good analogies and a little points of view that you're articulating well.
Thank you. We were on a good podcast.
I just sitting back, going along with the ride.
Here we go.
And this is a topic that we didn't know existed.
Yeah,
an hour ago.
Keep in mind, like, San Diego Comic-Con is next weekend.
Yeah.
So this is the tip of the iceberg, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're expecting any huge, massive management shakeups at any of the companies, but I mean, we'll hear other stuff. Things will trickle out.
I mean, there's
public
changes
for sure.
Like,
speaking of,
Dark Horse had a bunch of new hires and promotions and things, but they're not.
And a lot of that stuff is like
big news,
below the top line sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's always shakeups and people moving from company to company. What I thought we were going to talk about this episode of the podcast, not for the whole time, but what I'm like, oh, we should talk about that because it just got announced today. Absolute Green Arrow extended from 6 to 12 issues.
Yeah, I saw that last night. Yeah, that's great.
I assumed it would, and I think it's smart. And I'm sorry, this podcast is running long, everybody.
You're doing fine.
We got to cut out all the coughs.
Yeah, it's probably
20 minutes shorter.
So far, for those keeping track at home, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 coughing fits I've had that will be edited out of this.
So far.
I said so far.
You did. So Absolute Green Arrow, I like that even with the success of all the Absolute books, DC still came into Absolute Green Arrow and went, let's just set it at 6. If it's successful, we can go to 12, like we do with Martian Manhunter. But maybe it just goes 6. Maybe that's fine.
Yeah. We
get to the end of issue 6, we find out that Absolute Green Arrow is secretly Batman. I don't know. Sure, fine. Patrick thinks Hawkeye.
I've been using that all day yesterday, and I really like doing it because I go into it, I think, with a level of
it gets a lot
sincerity that people are afraid I'm legitimately going to wreck the surprise of who it is when I just say like, wow, it's only issue 3, and I can't believe they already tell us that Green Arrow, Absolute Green Arrow, is actually Hawkeye.
Yeah, it gets a laugh. It works.
The first way I said it was 616 Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
My real guess is, and this is not based on anything other than a book I'm reading, Emiko. I think it's a sister.
Okay. It could be anybody.
I think it's
Adelaide.
It's
his wife.
No, it's Kate Kane and Alice. It's their triplet sister that we never heard of.
Whoa.
Oh no.
Whoa.
In the absolute universe, there's 3 of them.
Let me ask you this: as far as duration of series, how long is Firestorm?
It's 8, I think, right?
It's 9.
Oh,
I never knew it was 9 issues.
weird. I wonder if it was it always 9?
I think so.
I thought it was 8. I think we had
I read a pretty great article last night.
that book can run as long as it likes. I really enjoy it. As a Firestorm fan, I love the chances they're taking with it.
Well, right. So the reason this book exists is because of Doomsday Clock.
Okay.
As a fan, Jeff Lemire was reading Doomsday Clock, and that's where we learned Firestorm's origin accident was planned by the United States government and planned by Marlon Stein.
All right. I didn't. So I stopped reading Doomsday Clock.
So that was a Jeff Johns thing.
Okay.
And
honestly, other people have done that. Like Mark Miller, that was a big thing in his Spider-Man series that he was doing with the Dodsons. Was that like Norman Osborn and a bunch of military industrial complex guys essentially built all the villains of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
That basically every other writer's like, I don't want to deal with that. So they just ignored it.
But it was Jeff Lemire saying, that doesn't sit right with me. How can I, like, not retcon this, but how can I make this palatable?
Yeah, I love stuff like that. I mean, it's the same thing in like wrestling stuff where a storyline doesn't work and it's like, well, you can just ignore it and that sucks because fans will always remember it. Or you can try and turn it into something that does work. You can take the inconsistencies or the bad ideas and be like, all right, well, where do we go with this instead? Like, how do we rehab this idea into something that, you know, we can telescope it out into something that makes more sense?
I've also learned the actual duration of End of Life from Vertigo.
Okay.
But I don't know that I'm allowed to actually announce it.
Probably not.
So I'm not going to say anything here.
Okay. The volume that's coming out, the first collected volume they listed as volume 1.
Yeah, okay.
So it's definitely something that it doesn't feel like it's wrapping up.
I mean, I thought it was like, I hoped it was ongoing.
Yeah.
I was worried that it was only 6.
Right.
And in a social media post, Kyle Starks had mentioned that he just finished writing the final contracted issue of the series.
So I'm like, it was way closer to 6 than it was to a higher number.
Yeah. But then 6 came out this week and I read 6. So I'm like, oh no, we got
story not done.
Yeah, we got weeks to go.
This is the thing that comes up frequently because obviously ongoing series in 2026 does not mean what ongoing series meant in like 1986.
Yeah.
People will sometimes, you know, when I'll specify that something is an ongoing series and it'll have ended at 18 or 20 or something, they'll look at me like I'm lying or like that I misunderstood what
and that was ongoing for a year and a half.
To my mind, anything that's more than 12 issues that doesn't have a set like of whatever is an ongoing series. Some ongoing series end at 15. They end at 20. Shit, some Marvel series end at 8.
Yeah, remember when
that was an ongoing series and they ended it.
Killer Be Killed was announced as ongoing and it stopped at 16?
Was it 20, I think?
I think it was 16.
Was it?
It was 16 or shorter, but it was...
But yeah.
But that's because they had Criminal in their back pocket. And I'm sorry, Reckless in their back pocket.
And honestly, it's funny. I think...
Yeah, they told their story.
You know, a couple years of something can be ongoing and it can end. Like, I mean, if you got, you know, 24 episodes of a TV show across a couple years, you wouldn't consider that like a limited series. You'd be like, that was 2 seasons of a show. It was ongoing. It ended. That's okay. I certainly, when you're a creative team doing a book, when you don't have the luxury of, you know, rotating artists or whatever, I think it's fine after a couple of years to call it quits. Like to feel like you told your story and you're done with it, move on to something else. Keep working together if you want, but you don't have to keep exploring the same world forever. That's the point of Create Your Own. You can just decide the story's done.
I do think it's disingenuous. You keep telling people that Contest of Challengers is a limited podcast experience.
No, what I meant was your enjoyment in it is limited.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
So there's this like live British entertainment, like kind of like a panel show, but I think it's filmed live, but it just goes out on radio.
Okay.
And your favorite David Mitchell Webb was on it. He's on it, I guess, regularly. But they talking about movies, and he got cranky.
Okay.
And somebody said, "Do you have something to say, David?" And he went off on this rant about how there's too many sequels, there's no new ideas, and he pulled up Superman. He's like, "There's a new Superman movie. Why? The old one still exists. You can see the old one. He flies. He still flies. We get it. You don't have to keep repeating the same thing over and over. There doesn't always need to be a new one of the things you're doing." And the woman next to him said, "What episode is this of this show?" And I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, obviously you can think about Superman in the same way that you would think about like Sherlock Holmes,
James Bond,
or whatever. Like, there's
both iconic British characters that reboot.
Yeah, I mean, the appeal of Superman to me in movie form or even in comic form isn't necessarily Superman that I'm hugely invested in what happens next in this story. It's what do creators do with him.
It's like saying, why would you ever have any other rom-com after it happened one night?
Right.
They're all just treading that same ground.
Yeah. Like, I'm interested to see what creators do with these concepts, especially ones that have been around for 80 years. I don't need them constantly. I think there's some things that can rest and come back.
Sure.
If you have a good idea for it, but as long as you have a good idea for it, I'll probably check it out. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of, like, Firestorm is a thing where I don't know. I love Firestorm. I don't know if you need a Firestorm book every single month.
No.
But when a creative team has a cool concept for Firestorm,
and you want to give us 8 months of a book,
the number of people who have told me that this is the first Firestorm comic they've ever read is great, and it's working for them, and they love it. And I've had to say a couple times, like, you can read the old stuff if you want. They give you a taste of it in this book. I don't know if it's going to be what you want. Like, and I love both of them. Like, I have a nostalgic fondness for the original series. And
we both have a bunch of different Firestorm action figures,
and some of the other
differences. Mine is open.
Oh yeah, mine has all of its various parts.
I remember being in a Walmart on Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
A friend had been locked out of her apartment and couldn't get in for Christmas, so I brought her home with me to my family Christmas, and we stopped at Walmart to get, because it was in the town that we were going to,
right?
And we stopped at Walmart to get her what she needed to, for a few days.
Sure.
And while we're there, look at the toys. I'm like,
as you do.
Whoa, look at this Jason Rouse Firestorm figure from Mattel. I'm grabbing this.
I wonder if Mattel's going to have their action figures shown off at San Diego. I feel like they might, because they've already released their core figures. We've got them, the little differently scaled, like slightly less articulated, more kid-oriented action figures.
Yeah, with the weirdly designed blister packs. And
so what's interesting to me, and this is not comics industry business related, but something that's a peek into Dell's weird brain. I collect toys. I love comic books. I don't really collect a lot of comic book toys. I have some. I get them really occasionally. Like, I'm looking at my Marvel Legends, and it's...
Can I guess what figures you might have?
You can take a wild guess.
Is it Silver Centurion Iron Man?
Correct.
Elektra Daredevil?
Yes. Which I should track down a King Daredevil figure. But I had a different Daredevil figure, and I talked myself out of getting King Daredevil, because I'm like, I don't need 2 Daredevils.
So that means you must have the armor-suited Daredevil.
Black armor Daredevil, that's correct. Scott McDaniel Daredevil.
All right, we're going to stop this. I'm just looking at his toys. I'm pretending to guess, but staring at them.
But my fear is...
They're in the podcast tutorial.
Mattel, as people who follow the toy industry might know, Mattel regained the license for the DC action figures.
Yeah.
In 2027, they're going to start releasing their collector's line. 2026 was just going to be some of their other stuff
for babies,
like baby toys for babies, like a hula hoop, but like masks and stuff like that. But their collector line, which they are doing, they're Marvel Legends essentially.
By the way, we have those toys that we called for babies. Yeah. We're selling them at Challenger.
I think they're good for kids.
Yeah,
we already sold them for kids.
Yeah, I would have lost my mind if we had toys like that when I think
I think they're pretty solid toys.
Agreed. I don't want them.
No, because you'll add a baby. But anyway, the DC collector line is going to be coming out in 2027. And I have this fear in my brain of like, if I got in on the ground floor, would I want those? Would I want to start collecting those? I can't. There's nowhere for them to go. I have too many other collections. But like, that has always been the fear of...
I'm looking at a whole bunch of shelves that could be cleared out right over there.
Did I tell you I looked into moving on these Kota Bakurios?
Yeah, they're worthless.
No one cares.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit. Like they're all a snapshot in time that no one else cares about.
Bring them to the store, sell them for $10 a piece.
That might be what happens.
Yeah.
But then that freezes these shelves, and then I have to fill those shelves with something, and I don't know if I want to do that. I gotta think about it.
You don't have to.
Oh,
It'll slowly
again,
happen.
a peek into Dell's brain. It does, it wouldn't happen quickly.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to wait and see what the Mattel announcements are at San Diego. If you like any of them, what you'll do is you'll clear these off. You'll move those over to there.
I have a whole different idea of what this is going to be.
I'm telling you.
These bookshelves are going to be replaced with other bookshelves. But yeah, I've
Taller bookshelves?
I've luckily avoided over the years ever really getting into Marvel Legends in any way. I didn't have a collection and moved it on. I just never got into them. They released at a time where I wasn't collecting toys, and then when I was collecting toys, they were so deep into the line that I'm like, I could never find the figures I want.
I got out of the Toy Biz ones day one.
And that's the problem with this Mattel one. Is if Mattel starts and they're the right, when McFarlane was doing them, one, I didn't like the 7-inch scale. And two, I just didn't like the basic sculpts they were doing. They showed off their original ones, and I'm like, I don't think these figures are good. And while I've gotten, an Aztec, they've done so many other characters, but I just don't like that style.
I can't help it. I'll break down. I've bought Captain Carrot.
I've gotten you some as gifts.
Yeah,
I got you a Damian Wayne and
Anti-Monitor.
Swamp Thing. I think was Swamp Thing one.
I bought something, but yeah,
okay, something.
Anti-Monitor.
You're right. Yeah. But yeah, if DC Mattel looks good and they start with good characters, I might be like, God damn it.
Because
I love DC.
We're not saying this out loud, but we know some of the characters they're starting with, and that's gonna right up there for you.
Because even for Marvel Legends, I would never want to get, not counting Yelena Belova from Hawkeye, I would never want to get the MCU characters. I don't want movie characters and actors and stuff. I want comic book characters. So depending on what they're doing, if they do a lot of DC superhero characters and they look like 2026, 2027 DC superheroes, but also, yes, we do know some of the characters that are going to be.
Yeah. So
industry content.
In my Instagram feed, a lot of AI bullshit comes up. But one of the ones I thought was neat, and I made Dal watch, was walking toward the camera, side-by-side comparison of MCU actors as their characters and a real-life generated version of the comic book costume.
Right.
And it starts off with the John Barenthal as the Punisher, and then just the Frank Castle Punisher. Classic, original, Mike Zeck costume Punisher.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not original, but his miniseries.
Yeah, definitely that design. Not the earliest Ross Andrew design.
Yeah.
It's the later, Mike Zeck plussed it up.
But for everyone they did, each time I'm like, comic is better. Comic is better. Comic is better. Even when they got real cheesy with the Iron Man armor, I'm like, nope, comic book's better. And it was just neat. I'm like, man, that's what I wanted from those movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was obviously AI, and it was embarrassing that I liked it. But I'm like, man, every single time, the comic book one is, even when they're super close, the Olivia Munn Psylocke versus comic Psylocke, I'm like, no, the comic book is better.
I like Gambit and Gambit.
Yeah.
And Deadpool and Deadpool, where they're it's just the gradation of the color is slightly more muted. That's about it.
They didn't do Spider-Mans. They didn't do Fantastic Fours.
Yeah.
But they did most Avengers. Kind of, but yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, pray for Dal at San Diego that Mattel doesn't announce very cool VCS.
All I'm going to say to end that part of the conversation is I'm very interested to see what the packaging looks like.
Yeah. I bet it looks good.
I don't have a clever ending.
No.
Oftentimes I think the way we end this is the
abrupt.
The diamond cutter. Just there it is.
Is it going to be the diamond cutter?
Because traditionally it's the RKO that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to publicize the RKO.
I would have said the Hidden Blade. Or the Paradigm Shift. Or the Death Rider. These are good finishing moves that come out of nowhere.
Traditionally,
or the Busaiku Me.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.